I decided to do a garden tour today, and I think I might do weekly garden tours if this all goes to plan. It is incredibly hot right now. I'm in central western Wisconsin, and it's very, very warm, and you can kind of tell how warm it is because a lot of my plants are a little worse for wear. But we'll start over here. I've got some big sweet red bell peppers in that grow bag. I've got a couple more grow bags of those. Got some beans that I threw in right next to my rose bush. My rose bush that finally took off and now has pests and something else going on with it. I don't know what, but hopefully I'll figure it out so it looks better. And then more beans underneath a zucchini plant that just exploded within the last few days. Even more beans! Now you might be wondering why there's beans in random places, and that's because I left a packet of beans outside and it got wet, so I just threw them in the ground over here. That's the story. That's all there is to it. And then my other rose bush, I just took a beetle off of this. We've got Japanese beetles. They're kind of a huge problem here. Another red bell pepper. Some milkweed that's been here forever. I usually pull it up, but I have left it because I heard that it was good for monarch butterflies. Now, I've looked at it a few more times. I don't think it's the kind that's actually good for monarch butterflies, but it is what it is. And I've got some black-eyed Susans that popped up from where I had black-eyed Susans last year, so they reseeded themselves, and I took them out of the grass and popped them in over here with some fertilizer, and they're doing really, really well. There's one that's blooming, well, now it's in shadow. There's one that's blooming. More things that reseeded themselves from the wildflower mix I had last year. Got some dwarf sunflowers here, and some calendulas. This one looks like it'll be ready for me to grab the seeds off of it pretty soon. Another calendula. My strawberry patch. We already got one round of strawberries, and we got a whole bunch of flowers, so we should hopefully get another round of strawberries. And this magnificent plant that whenever my son sees it, he goes, Look at this huge plant! Is a straight 8 cucumber, and it's almost shoulder high on me. I've got it staked up to some 6-foot, I think these are technically rebar, but they're coated rebar. And this one is almost as tall. This is a homemade pickles cucumber. It's doing really, really well. Got some little baby cukes, some more baby cukes, even more baby cukes. And wait, there's more. And I've got some parsley that I stuck in the ground today, some sad spinach because it went from being cold and foggy here in this part of Wisconsin to just being unbelievably hot. And that's fun. That's the best. These are my Armenian cucumbers, and they are not doing great, but, you know, I've got my fingers crossed for them. I'll help them along. That's basically all I can do this year. I was really looking forward to them. They're supposed to have nice long white fruits that have thin skin. They're great. They're supposed to be great for slicing and pickling, but if they don't put out any fruit, stuff happens. It's kind of the motto that I have for this year. I've got my first round of dwarf kale all down here. I've got 5 plants, and I've already gotten a whole bunch of harvests off of it. It's been doing really, really good. And then behind that are some spinach seedlings that I just kind of popped in the ground where my son took my peas out of the ground. Thankfully, some of the pea plants made it, and they're doing their best, starting to attach to the fence. Now this variety of pea is a sugar snap pea, and the plant should only get to be about 2 feet tall, so my fence should be enough support for them. In the past, I haven't had nearly tall enough support for my pea plants, so I looked for a small variety this year. My hope is that they do really well. They might not, because it got so hot. But once again, it is what it is. 2020. And starting these 2 rows, these are my tomatoes. This magnificent beast is my Sun Gold Cherry tomato, and it's about waist high on me. I'm only 5'4", so that's it. I mean, it's not super impressive, but it's impressive at the same time because they went in the ground on the 1st of June. So take it for what it is. And there's some little, let's see if we can get it to focus, little baby cherry tomatoes popping up on there. And in the words of an internet legend, I think that's pretty neat. So those will have yellow fruits. They'll be nice and sweet. I did start some super sweet 100 cherries this year, and I gave the one that made it to my folks, so I don't have any red cherry tomatoes this year. I don't think. I'll get to that in just a minute. But right here I have my singular sunrise sauce. Yes, sunrise sauce tomato. This is going to be a yellow Roma type tomato. We've got a fruit right there, and then another one on the other side. This will give me really nice sweet paste tomatoes that I plan on making tomato jam out of, and I'm really excited about it. I'm sorry, I got distracted by this wasp eating my fence post. You're lucky you get rid of pest insects. And kind of interspersed throughout my tomato rows, I've got nasturtium and anise hyssop and purple coneflower planted, and those are just companion plantings. When they flower, they'll attract pollinators, and I just like them, and it's something that I decided to do this year on a whim. So there, I guess, being a rat bowl, I don't know. It's hot. But this tomato and this tomato are Washington cherry tomatoes, and unlike that tomato, there's a red wasp thing on my cucumber. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. The heat is making my ADHD so bad. If you make it through this garden tour, you deserve a cookie. Go get yourself a cookie. Actually, you know what? Treat yourself. Go get yourself a cookie right now, because this is rambly, and I'm sorry. Anyway, back to the plants. Give me the plants. Here is I think mustard. Look at the size of that leaf. But I say I think because it popped up out of a tray of mesclun mix seeds that I tried to start earlier this year, and everything else just molded except for this little baby. So that's why it's here. I need to harvest those. Damn. Sorry for the swears. You know what? No, I'm not going to do this one. We're going to talk about this one. This is my only surviving San Marzano paste tomato. They're supposed to be really, really good paste tomatoes, and I'm super excited for them. I cannot wait for this to flower and fruit. It's finally taking off. It looks fantastic. Look at the size of these leaves. They are gorgeous. They are magnificent. Look at you. You are such a beautiful tomato. Look at the size of this nasturtium. It's amazing. Now, this one, and this one are all mystery tomatoes. They popped up out of the ground. Ooh. Okay, I see some flowers. I'm not sure what they are. They are, you know, with the pattern that the flowers are in, they might be Roma tomatoes, but I don't know. Because I grew tomatoes last year, and these ones just kind of popped up out of the ground. And so I planted them because I had such a heck of a time starting seeds this year. And this is a very fun adventure, and I can't wait to see what kind of tomatoes they have. But just judging from the way those flowers look, they might be beefsteak, which would be hilarious because I told myself I wasn't going to grow beefsteak this year. So if they are beefsteak, then I guess we're having a lot of BLTs. This one are Speckled Romans. They're a paste tomato. They're going to be kind of streaked with green. They're kind of a light orange color on the base. I thought they looked really cool, so I started them, and I'm looking forward to them. That's kind of the motto for this. I have 3 rows of beans. This row is Royalty Purple Pod, because I started growing those late in the season last year, and I enjoyed them so much, I decided to do a whole row of them this year. The fact that I had 2 extra seed packets, because I bought them while I was at my folks' place and forgot about them, has nothing to do with it. How could you accuse me of such a thing? Nothing to do with it. Half of this row is Kitchen King beans, and then the other half is Blue Lake 274. Both of these 2 rows are bush beans, hence why they don't have any poles or any support. These beans with all of the poles are Blue Lake stringless pole beans. Because I wanted to experiment. So I got some of these, and this one is the only one that's sending up runners so far. But I have lots of hope. These ones suffered greatly at the hands of my toddler. But we can hope for the best, right? The 2 slogans of 2020. We can hope for the best, and it is what it is. It's kind of just how you gotta get through. Over here, we have some thinned and some not thinned giant Caesar lettuce. I thought I wasn't going to get a whole bunch out of the seed packet because it was 2 years old. So I literally just threw it in the ground. And then lo and behold, I got a lot of lettuce. So that'll be fun. Beets. I separated those out from the mesclun mix that the mustard ? Came from. And they're doing pretty good. These are specifically for their greens, and they're in a very shady spot. This spot tends to be shaded out for a good chunk of the day because the maple tree that is right next to my driveway shot up last year. And then arugula. This has been very, very tasty. I've gotten a couple of harvests off of this. Although I think this is a volunteer giant Caesar lettuce like this, because that's sure what it looks like. And endive. I specifically planted endive because I was like, I've never had endive before. Endive sounds really cool. That's a character from Chowder. That sounds neat. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's bitter to me. I'm still gonna let these grow because I've seen a couple of recipes where you can like braise them. And I feel like that might make them taste okay, but it's just bitter to me, and I don't like it. But here we have more kale. I've got this is dwarf blue curled Beets. It's a dwarf kind of kale. That's why they're all kind of close together. And it's just delicious, and I can pretty much grow it anywhere. And I have a lot of it in the garden because I found pretty decent success with freezing it last year. So I'm going to do that again. And over here we have what looks very, very sparse. But just wait. It is sparse because about half of what popped up was the Endive. Because the Endive and the Arugula both came from the same Italian salad seed mix packet, where everything but the little kale plantlets in here came from. Half was Endive. And it made me very sad. But I went through and I harvested all of that yesterday because I want the stuff that's still in here to grow and get big and strong, as my kid says. So there's arugula, there's a few Swiss chard plants. I am so excited. I love Swiss chard. I love using it in soups. I love steaming it. And I was afraid that I wasn't going to get any this year because the squirrels dug up every single seedling I tried to put in my grow bags on my porch. But it looks like there's a few very successful plants up here, and ever since I rearranged stuff on my porch, the squirrels haven't come by. So, fingers crossed, I don't know. But I think there might be some spinach in here. It said on the seed packet that there was, but all I see is a whole bunch of arugula. And if there is a whole bunch of arugula, that's okay. It's peppery, it's meaty, it's tasty. We can put it on our wraps for lunch. We can turn it into a salad. It's okay. But yeah, and then did I talk about the strawberries yet? I've been rambling so long, I forgot. Well, there's strawberries here. Na 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 na. Okay, on the side of the deck, we have some raspberry plants that I saved from the mower. We have butternut squash, because I planted one last year, and it went all the way up on my deck rail, and I thought that was fantastic, so I'm doing it again this year. Yeah! More black-eyed Susans, some basil that I got from my mom, another butternut squash, some volunteer sunflowers from birdseed, another volunteer sunflower, but those leaves look like the leaves on those sunflowers, so I'm pretty sure it came from last year's wildflower seed packet. Mystery mint. It's mysterious. I am so hot. If it wasn't for the garden, I would hate summer. More mystery mint. Another one of those sunflowers, and it's all full of junk. There we go. Up on the deck, we have my struggling Monstera. It might be struggling, but I got it for $6 last year, and I've managed to nurse it through a whole bunch of crap. So I love it. We have some super duper sad looking Swiss chard seedlings that I just transplanted yesterday. They should bounce back, but they look real limp and sad right now. The geranium that my kid picked out at the nursery. The calendula that we got at my husband's grandpa's funeral. Some more anise hyssop that I'm growing for my husband. Some opal basil that I'm growing for me. And in this planter we have thyme, Basil, 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 basil. Sage. Marjoram. Some random parsley that popped up. I don't know why. I probably put seeds in there and then forgot. If the way this video is any indication, that's probably the case. Catnip. That looks real sad because I just trimmed it up to dry a whole bunch of it for my monster cat. Parsley. Also looking sad. Just thinned it and trimmed it. Chocolate mint. I just trimmed this up and gave all the trimmings to my friend. Dill. It's dill. I try not to look at it or think about it, and that seems to be working this year. We have 3 grow bags with seeds that I just planted on the 24th. We got carrots. Siberian kale. I put too much in here, so when it sprouts, I'm going to have to divide it pretty severely and put some elsewhere. Not sure yet. I'll find a place. And then mustard, because I like steaming greens, if you couldn't tell. And then we've got some Thai basil that my folks gave me, and they got it as a surprise. And I've been trimming it back and rooting the cuttings and pinching off the flowers, and it's doing pretty good. This smells pretty anisey. That's pretty nice. I'm going to take this off the railing before I knock it down. Alright, got one more thing left to show. My raspberries. I started 6 plants 6 years ago, and they just started producing last year, because it did not occur to me that, oh hey, I should probably feed these pretty extensively. So I started feeding them, and now I have a hedge, and it's glorious. And hopefully I get some berries this year. And we'll finish off with Bard the cat. He likes to be outside, but we live in town and we're not going to let him roam at large. So I put him in a harness and attach him to a tether, and he gets to sit out here and glare at the squirrels, and he has a real fun time in the garden. And that, my friends, is going to be the end of this garden video, because I have to get inside and drink some water and maybe have another cup of coffee. So anyway, thank you for joining me. That's my garden. And if you forgot to get yourself a cookie, go get yourself a cookie and get yourself a drink of water, because it's summer and oh my goodness, everybody needs to stay hydrated. Okay, thank you. Love you. Bye.